They say the gambling instinct is in most of us. The 5 men of Australia's crack formation aerobatic team are gamblers. They gamble on each other. They're driven by one motivating force. Every time they take their Mackie jets into the air, they strive for the ultimate in formation aerobatics, perfection. Pilots have died pursuing the ultimate. 10 of the US Navy's Blue Angels have been killed in mid-air collisions. Another 5 have lost their lives flying with Britain's Red Arrows. In Australia, 6 pilots died in one accident at a spot near here in Gippsland, Victoria. They were the Red Sails. Since that tragedy, the RAAF has formed a new team, the Roulettes. The name is derived from the simple play of the roulette wheel, and perhaps it's very appropriate. Because in formation aerobatics, you fly to beat the odds, and you back the man flying only a few feet away. Trust is the crucial element, so is planning. The Roulettes are the elite unit of the Air Force and are attached to the RAAF Central Flying School based at Sale. Their Air Force papers are each marked above average pilot, and apart from flying formation aerobatics, they train pilots to be flying instructors.
Sequence manoeuvres basically a change, and what I want to concentrate on are the 2 new manoeuvres we're bringing in, the roulette crossover and the bomb burst, but we'll talk about those in a minute.
The roulette leader is Squadron Leader Ron Bedell, an ex-Australian baseball champion and expert chess player. Ron once had the chance of playing baseball in the American leagues, but joined the Air Force instead, and is now the RAAF's chief flying instructor. Roulette 3 is John Fredericks. John trained as a priest for more than 4 years after leaving school, before deciding that he wanted to be a fighter pilot. He freely admits that he waits for the day for combat in the air with enemy planes.
Why did you give it away?
Oh, I think a job like, well, not just a job, a profession like being a priest requires a certain sort of person, and I found that after about 4 years I didn't think I had the qualities required.
It seems strange that a man who once trained as a priest gets to a point where he's going to shoot down other men. Have you reconciled that in your own mind, John?
I don't think there's any reconciliation required for that sort of thing. You know, once war, if you're at war with somebody, that's what war's all about. War's about is killing somebody else before he kills you.
Emergencies will be standard and monitor auxiliary. Any collision and others will be mutual assistance.
Number 4 is ex-helicopter pilot Ian Fogarty, the bachelor and showman of the team. In Vietnam, Ian's chopper was blown up, but he survived, shaken but unhurt. He now prefers flying jets.
I am the best formation aerobatic pilot that has ever been in the Air Force anywhere in the world. I am the greatest.
And don't hesitate for a bug out today, particularly with the new manoeuvres. There's no busting urgency to get it squared away.
Mike Lavercombe is Roulette 2. Mike, a self-confessed perfectionist, has flown Sabre and Mirage jets and is described by his mates as Mr. Cool.
Yes, I enjoy it. I've really enjoyed it. I've been, it's my second season in the team now, and it's provided a really challenging and welcome break from the, should I say, more mundane life of a qualified flying instructor, which is my primary task. And as well, of course, we're a fairly small group of people that have been given this opportunity, and it allows us to be able to demonstrate to other people our ability in this particular field.
Now, the new manoeuvres themselves. First of all, the split out of card 5. From here, what we're doing, it'll be a run-in from the loop. Now, the problem to start with that I see will be the speed for the split will probably be about 20 knots less than we'd normally have for a pull-up. Okay, so we'll go into the card 5 loop at 300, and on the pull-up, depending on our position from the datum.
Brian Fuller, number 5, affectionately known as the Pom, had to wait until he came to Australia to fulfil his ambition of flying with an aerobatic team. Brian is on a 2-year exchange tour from the RAF.
Brian, some people would say that you've got the unthankful job of being 5th in the group. Is it really unthankful job?
No, it's quite easy in many ways because I don't have to worry about the positioning or anything like that. All I've just got to do is follow the leader, just hang on. Just grit your teeth and hang in.
There won't be any other call after that, it'll just be roll. So what we're trying to do to show the crowd is a plan form of 2 pairs going past like that. The aim to be to make it look as if we're just going to run straight into one another for a fair. Okay, so it's going to be pretty close.
Yeah, it should be.
Okay. You'll probably get pretty excited because he's going to be a little bit closer to you than he is to me.
What was the cloud base at Hobart? Oh, and stretches down to 2.5. Yeah, we got that one. Yeah, that's all right. I always remember years ago watching the Black Arrows at home. They'd loop up about 9 hunters in one formation. Don't they just pick their exceptional blokes to send out here on this show? I'm told that. How come they made a mistake with you? They couldn't afford to feed him, that's why.
If we couldn't rely on the other person, then we'd really be in trouble, I think. And because of this close-knit relationship and being aware of the other people's personalities, their abilities, you generally tend to get confidence in them, and therefore it makes your job easier, because you're only relying on yourself to stay in your position and to be able to follow the leader.
What sort of boss is Ron Bedell? Do you think he's a good man to be behind?
I don't think the guys would be in the team unless we trusted him. I know for one I wouldn't be.
But I love flying 92. if I get the chance now, even for student trips and so on, if I can get 92, I'm very happy.
Is there much responsibility on you? The boys seem to say so.
Oh, well, I guess I'm responsible in a considerable way for what they do, whether they stay in one piece or not. But I think their job is just as responsible as mine is. They've got, it only takes one guy to make the thing look wrong. If a bloke's not in position, then the particular manoeuvre doesn't look any good. I've got a responsibility to get the manoeuvres lined up and in all the right places and so forth, try to fly them smoothly enough so the blokes can hang on to the wing. But apart from that, they've got a pretty hard job to do. If it gets to the stage that I make a big enough mistake that the thing has gone really wrong, then it's just a matter of me calling the team to bug out and we just give it away. We can get out of that particular manoeuvre and everybody just breaks off, and we don't we just push on regardless with a manoeuvre and try and recover it if it's irrecoverable. I like to think that I've got the confidence of the rest of the team guys, because there's no point in having a team like this if the blokes have got no confidence in following the guy up front.
There's pressure with the roulettes in that there's always a time limit on, or a limited amount of time that we've got available to get up to the right standard or the standard we want, bearing in mind we're probably always aiming for perfection, and it's very frustrating when you don't get it. You probably never get perfection, of course, but so the pressure there builds up in that you're worried perhaps that you're running out of time and you won't have enough time to do the amount of practice you want before perhaps a big display. There would certainly be a number of pilots in the Air Force who would say, hell, I wouldn't want to do that, because they consider that perhaps it's a bit hairy or a bit dangerous.
I suppose you could say that the most dangerous time is when you go off and do a manoeuvre for the first time, because you're experimenting with the unknown. The danger, I think, only lies in the unexpected, and that's what we try and eliminate with all our practices, the unexpected, so that we just come back to the routine.
Well, let's make right turn our climb 020, radial clear for takeoff.
Final crest left turn. Let's check. 2, 3, 5.
The unexpected can occur, even on takeoff. A few days earlier, Ian Fogarty and Brian Fuller in slots 4 and 5 got a fright. On the team's new takeoff, they were caught up in the backwash of the jets ahead of them, and their Mackie jets almost flipped over.
Over to you, 5. Credits, rolling, rolling. Go, 2, 3. Go, 2, 3. Go, 2, 3. Go, 2, 3. Go.
Their canopies were pointing towards the ground. Ian thought he would cartwheel down the runway, but in those critical few seconds, they got clear of the backwash and swung back to safety.
It's me against the elements and against the aeroplane. There we are, sitting in 4.5 tons of aeroplane. It only does around about 400 knots. But it's me against the machine. I'm in control. I want to make it do what I want to do. And it's a personal challenge, basically, I think.
Straightening for loop. Pulling up. $260, $250, $250, $250, $250, $240, straightening, no worries, great. It's a little difficult to hold it down actually, 130. So let's step 5 gas. Drives check. 3, 5.
Everybody knows his own limitations. We know the aircraft limitations, we know our own limitations. And every member of the team can see at any stage of a manoeuvre if he's getting closer than he should be because of reference points you use to line up, and if he's moving at a rate he knows he shouldn't, and if he's getting closer to the aircraft than he's capable of handling. And once he does that, then he just gives it away, if that ever arises, so that everybody operates within his limitations at any stage. And there is nothing that will happen that can cause him, unless the bloke's a dummy, to push the aircraft beyond his own limitations.
Pulling up again for our split manoeuvre. I'm still in card 5, pulling up now. Roll, go. Now we've got to be careful. I've got to get the right height at the top here, or I'm not going to get back through the manoeuvre. About 2800, I'm pulling it around now quite tightly, looking for the other man. Down the runway centre line is the datum, and we'll cross over. Head on, roll, go. There we are, 500 feet roll. And that was a close opposition manoeuvre. That's our roulette manoeuvre.
If we had the knowledge that nobody was going to move out of position and we were going to be able to do everything absolutely correctly first time, then of course there'd be no need to train. But because we know we can't do it, then for a considerable time before each of the public displays, we go off 2, possibly even 3 times a day. We run through each routine very carefully. We have a very careful briefing, we analyse all the pitfalls, we come back and we have a very careful debrief. And that's the way we cancel out all the unknown quantities, so that we come up with a known factor that we can go off and do each of our routines safely.
Not all Air Force pilots will agree that there's a known factor in formation aerobatics. They take you back to the deaths of the Red Sails 9 years ago. It was in this exact manoeuvre that they died. While straightening from the roll, they went into the ground in formation. One can only surmise what really happened, but it did highlight the critical responsibility of team leaders.
I could do things a lot faster and a lot tighter and they'd still hang in there, but I find it hard to, because I'm conscious of 4 other guys trying to follow me around the sky, that I don't want to be too harsh or roll too quickly or pull too hard. But they could still stay there. I know for a fact they could stay there if I made it tighter. We've done it.
Ron, have you ever come into a situation where all of a sudden your mind's gone blank?
Yes, just once.
What happened then?
Well, at the time it sort of makes you feel a little bit chilly down the spine. You think, you feel as if you're about to blow the whole show. But it seems like a long time, but it's probably only a fraction of a second where something may have distracted you or you're thinking about something you shouldn't be thinking about, and for a moment
you're not quite sure what should be coming next. It doesn't last very long. You just got to force yourself to concentrate for an instant, really concentrate to get yourself back in the ball game again, that's all.
Brian, the guys were saying how they knew each other before. You're just new in the group, aren't you? How do you feel with 4 Australians around you?
Well, before I came to Australia, I had to go on a little swift course on Australiana rubbishing, in which, where I'm sat in a room in a corner, and there are all these Australian people in London, and they're all calling me all sorts of names. And if you pass the course, then you come on the exchange tour. It's as simple as that. But it's no great problem. And I managed to get my own back, you know. Mainly I get it back against Fogues because, well, Fogues is young, suave, 21 again, single. But I understand he is looking for a wife, so if there is anybody out there in viewer land looking for a wife...
You bloody swine!
So I get my own back.
Fat lump of lard!
Folks, do you always throw off at Brian's weight?
Yes, because he's the only guy on the team who's fatter than I am. I was really pleased when he joined the team because when we were up in Moresby, and we'd come back, it was hot anyway, but I'd be always covered in sweat. The troops used to point that out to me all the time. And Fredericks, of course, as usual, was really cool and everything. I'm sure he used to change his flying suit, you know, shortly after getting out of the aircraft. But then Fuller arrived and he sweats more than I do and he's fatter than I am and he's uglier than I am. It's marvellous. I'm really pleased he joined the team.
We're all showmen at heart. We all love to get up there. We've got these lovely blue flying suits, and there is very much an ego thing to it, to go off and do a really good show and then land and jump out of the airplane with our little blue flying suits and all the people coming around admiring glances. I'd be lying to say there wasn't.
And in 10 seconds' time, the roulettes will be overhead. 5, 4, 3, 2, and here they are. outer men to drop back to form the big position.
The Roulettes are extremely guarded in their comments about the dangers of formation aerobatics. Ian Fogarty summed it up though. The reason he said we don't talk about danger is that we don't want to be stopped from what we're doing. When one sees their exhilaration after an air show, it's easy to understand why. Perhaps it's their almost fanatical reach for the ultimate, perfection.